probably going to be easiest way to do it.
And then also, in case you need to, I just enabled screen sharing.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how you prefer to do it. Like if you wanted to set the context in case like people are watching this, and then I had put together a kind of like things that I was interested in talking about.
Great.
And we can take a quick look now, but it would be like, I'm very curious how you are organizing your note structure these days, like what the best practices are. Like I have some simple questions, just like what are the most used hotkeys that you find yourself using, tags that you find yourself referencing often. So I remember like you had tags like hashtag interaction or something, and I know people will just like throw out tags, but I'm curious which ones you actually reference over and over.
Yeah.
On the note-taking side, I still have like a really funky workflow that really dissuades me from using Roam, which is like probably what everyone does. So I'd love to see how you are kind of doing this yourself. It could be the same. And then kind of just walking through an example of like taking notes. How would you consider like, how would you run it end to end? So not just tagging, linking, running ideas, but then you also do like your own smart notes method where you will literally like rearrange it.
Yeah.
I would love to see, I don't know if that's repetitive from course B 1.0, but
no, it's good.
And then I had an idea which was like, so I've been personally fascinated with this idea of writing an article about Stripe culture. So I had compiled like all these links that I found on the internet of Stripe culture, and like I just pulled out a few, and I was thinking maybe we could do an example where I like Instapaper this, highlight it, copy it into Roam, and then you see if I'm doing it properly.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so that could be part of this, perhaps.
Cool. Yeah. This looks good. So you want to just start kind of towards start with the basic stuff and then work our way down into the live examples.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing off the bat is you're probably using too many attributes. So like the one question, so the one challenge with attributes is the more you break them out, the more or the less you're able to search across them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the one challenge with them is if you create separate tags for or create separate attributes for like tags and ideas, it might, like then if you put something in the ideas, then you can't search it with the other stuff that you put in the tags section, right? Like actually this is kind of difficult for me to explain. Can I share my screen quickly?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Bring up my Roam database. All right, cool. Let's go back to here.
You have 3 graphs. Nice.
Yeah. one of them's the tutorial graph and the other one's a secret future project. But let's go to
elk hunt prep list.
Yeah, I'm going elk hunting in November, which I'm pretty excited about.
That sounds awesome.
It's a recent book I added. Why am I blanking on this? Okay, scale. So the challenge with having a bunch of different attributes is like, so I like pulling out author as separate, right? So author, Jeffrey West, but then I can't filter by both books and Jeffrey West, right? So if I go to books, and this page always takes a million years to load, but like he's not in here, right? Because he's on a separate block from the books tag, right? So to me, that's okay, but it is a little bit annoying that if I want to do a query for and books with, this page always lags the database so hard. All right, there we go. Like nothing's going to show up, right? Because they're on separate. Yeah, they're on separate blocks. Now, I know this is changing in the future, or like it's changing in some way in the future. So Rome has said that they're going to let you query across multiple attributes, which is why I still do it this way. But, just one thing with what you showed me that's useful to keep in mind is like the more you split out your attributes, the less queryable your database kind of gets.
Mhm.
So for me, I
Interesting.
pretty much always like the main ones that I'll do are like author, recommended by, and then I put as much into the tags as possible. I pull out which medley I put it into on a separate line so that it doesn't clog up the tags. But this works pretty well for organizing stuff. Let me find a recent article so we can see that example
Actually,
too.
before you, oh, I don't know if you already clicked, but
Yeah, no, go ahead.
you have tags at the top level. Do you also include these tags in each note, or like as you go? I think you're
Like in
progressively
the
some.
blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll add tags up here at the metadata level, right?
Hmm.
So just whatever ones stand out to me as being useful. But then yeah, you can see that I'm also linking things within the context of each block.
Hmm.
So this is just it's kind of like helpful for me to add some of those as well. And it looks like I'm not actually done doing that on this page, right? Like I would link Sisyphus, for example.
Right.
Um, because I like having those references as I'm kind of like going through the other pages later. But I feel like it doesn't really hurt to have more tags because then you just have more ways of making things rediscoverable, right? So it's
Hmm.
sort of like you can just put in more of them than you think you need. And you can like have some at the top level to be attributes of the book, but then you can have them within individual blocks as well so that those single pieces of information get pulled out onto those pages, even if the whole book doesn't need to be.
And that makes sense on the bidirectional link. So like finite time singularity.
Yeah.
After that block ends, like I noticed it throughout this, maybe you didn't have time to, but would you actually normally go back and add hashtags at the end of certain blocks?
Yeah,
Like
if I thought it was
yeah,
important to.
got it.
So, I might add one here for like aging, right?
Mm,
Because this one's like kind of interesting about scaling and age. So there's another one down here where it's like, yeah, like this is another one where I might add like aging and longevity as tags, right? Because I just think like these are kind of neat things to have referenced where if I'm on my longevity page, I've
mhm.
got like all these books. Now I can see like this specific paragraph is getting pulled out, which, might be an interesting thing to bring in as its own like block reference um, later on if I wanted to like
Mm,
expand the value of this page.
right. Yeah, I think something I do not do enough of is like these parent header pages. I don't turn them into actual pages, like by doing alt and dragging things and stuff like that.
I just try to do it as necessary because it's easy to kind of like just make up work for fun, right? So
Yeah.
it's like I also, I originally recommended nesting everything under metadata, which I
Mhm.
don't do anymore. You don't need the metadata tag at all.
Interesting. Okay.
Um,
So
and
I
the
will
reason for
get rid of
that
that.
is the people at Rome have said that you're going to be able to query on attribute contents in the future, but attributes belong to the thing above them. So if we put all of this under a metadata attribute,
Mm,
then then Rowan would interpret it as Chris Kresser is the author of metadata,
right.
not that it's the author of unconventional medicine. So unnesting it helps make what's in the attributes more discoverable later when they add that functionality.
Cool. Yeah, I remember. Okay, so I will go back and unnest all of them and
I know.
remove
I
metadata.
like still haven't finished it. If we look at some of my earlier notes that I uploaded, like I don't know, what does this one look like? Right. I hadn't even like figured out attributes yet. Right. So there's just like a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned up. My
Yeah,
philosophy on it is just like clean it up as I go. So
yeah.
like now that I'm here, I'll do like my hotkey to fill it in and then like re-add those. But like you can see just how weaker or how much weaker my like Roam setup was when I first like started using it versus what it is now.
So under books, you now just do, it sounds like author. I'm just click. So it's author reading status. I don't know if you still do
Oh,
that.
yeah, sorry. Whoops, that's article. Uh Yeah, so do author, reading status,
That
finished
is
on, recommended by, tags, and then medley is just for me for my newsletter.
tags and then medley. Got it. Okay, cool. So you're okay. So it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Cool. I'll go back and change my uh, my text expander to reflect.
Cool. You want to show yours again?
Yeah. So remove metadata and on indent. Cool. All right, so that's metadata best practices. I guess same thing here. I used to drag it in, but now I just try to use the text expander. But I'm guessing for articles, it's pretty much the same thing. Like you're doing
Yeah.
recommended by, tags, source ideas,
Source. Yeah, I don't have ideas. So I don't pull out ideas and notes as their own attributes. Although I guess you could. I mean, because like to me, the ideas and notes are just going to be all of the blocks below the attributes. Like I try to think of attributes as metadata, right? And the ideas and notes are going to be the contents of the note. They don't need to be. They wouldn't be like their own special lines in the database, right? They would be like the rich text that is just like in its own giant block. I mean, you definitely can though. I'm not saying you couldn't do it, but or do you? You don't have them as attributes there. You just got them bolded, right?
Oh, is
Or it
that
looks
I
like
don't actually.
ideas
Yeah, it's
go
just
up.
a bold. So. Oh, is that okay? I may be making a terrible mistake. So, are you doing this version?
Yes.
Oh
So
crap.
yeah.
Okay. That is it's gonna take a lot of work to go back
Oh
and
man.
change all of these. Okay, that'll
I
be
guess I need to
fun.
make that a little clearer.
In meta, uh, you change attributes to versus bolding.
Yeah. So do you know the difference between those two?
Yeah, well, I think I can infer now that this is queryable versus this is just a bolding that isn't. It's not doesn't actually turn this into an attribute
Yeah,
basically.
it doesn't actually add any functionality. You have to
Oh,
do the double
okay.
colon to
That'll
yeah.
be that's probably honestly just my mistake for not paying full attention.
Well,
Um,
that's useful for me to know that I should make that really clear though, because yeah, if you just bold it with a colon, it doesn't do anything.
I'm so,
It's purely aesthetic.
I'm so effed. I gotta go back and change everything. Cool. And then I will. Oh man, change all to
Yeah.
attributes.
Ah.
Cool.
But honestly, Kevin, I would like it might not even be worth it for you to do that heavy lift right now. Just like wait
Yeah.
until they add the additional functionality for attributes
Right.
and like then maybe do it. Because until then, you're not getting that much value by changing it over. Right.
True. True. Like
So
as long as I'm still linking, I'm still able to find the thing.
exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, that is very
Uh
good to know.
yeah.
um,
Most used
awesome.
hotkeys.
So
That's a good one.
yeah, I
Go ahead.
think the only ones that so for me it's like Command U to pull up this.
Yeah.
It's like Shift Enter to open, and then like Alt to drag. And honestly, that's about it. So I'm probably
Yeah,
missing a
let
ton.
me
And should I let you screen share or?
let me screen share because it's funny because this is definitely one of those things where it's like you don't know which ones you use a lot until you start like doing it. Um, okay, so in here I'm gonna get really fancy and turn on my
Ooh.
hotkey reporter here. So I use command period a lot to like go
Hmm.
down into a block. Like this one's super helpful. Oh, that's another one. Control Shift D takes you back to your daily notes page.
Okay.
So I'll do that one a lot. I really like doing command period, especially for morning pages, right?
Okay.
So because I could like open this and then I'll do the command Shift O to open it in the sidebar.
Mm. Command
And
Shift O
then
only opens the top, like the highest level. Like you
it
can't. Yeah.
it opens whatever your little typey thing is on top of.
Okay.
So Control O takes you to that page, right?
Mhm.
Control Shift O opens it in the sidebar. I use Command left bracket a lot to go back. Right, so that's a good hotkey for like going back and forward between two pages that you were on.
So left brackets.
So I use use that one a lot. And then, if we added a bunch stuff here, that was bad, and didn't do my journal this morning. So embarrassing. Wow. Anyway, so if I like finished that and then I went back up, right? So Command comma to go back to the like higher level, the higher block. I also like doing Command up to hide the contents of that block, right? So Command down will expose the sub bullets. Command up will hide it. So that's pretty useful. I do Command enter a lot for creating to-dos, right?
Yeah.
And then you can do Command enter to mark it done or to unmake it a to-do. So that one's pretty useful. For formatting, Command Alt 1, 2, and 3 are really useful for making headers.
Okay, I definitely do not use those.
So yeah, so like Command Option 3, now that's an H3. Now it's an H2, Command Alt 1, now it's an H1. Just like a nice visual thing.
Oh man, Command Alt is such a hard fingering.
Yeah, it's very awkward. It almost takes like 2 hands to do it.
Yeah,
kind of defeats the purpose. But
I love it. Okay, cool.
Let me see. I think that's most of them. Yeah, I guess I do use quite a few hotkeys. That's cool. It's funny how you just like completely forget that they exist.
Yeah.
And if you go to my Roam tutorial database, this is the public one that goes with the course. I've got like a list of all the hotkeys on here. So let's see. Yeah, it's in the shortcuts.
Cool. Okay, I will reference that.
Yeah, I use Command U a lot. There's some like really funky ones that I don't use very much. Like you can hide the brackets on pages. That's kind of a crazy one, right? So if we like go back to the home page and then it's Control C, Control B, now all the double brackets are hidden. So like even though they're still there, now they're visually gone, which is like kind of neat just for improving readability.
Yeah.
There's some other stuff.
By the way, is this a custom like skin for?
Yeah. So you can add custom CSS now. So they've got a tutorial on how to do it, but it's kind of a funky setup. You create a page in your database called Roam/CSS, and then you can either write your own CSS or you can just copy in CSS that somebody else has made. So I'm using this Leyendecker CSS with some of my own modifications to it. It's just like, I mean, you can tell it looks so much nicer.
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference.
It makes you want to open it, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing they did with this one too is like, so as an example, you can create like custom tag styles. So I just changed this one because I haven't set this up yet in here, but like you could now, if I go to, let's see, just go to the articles page. So did I do that right? Maybe not. I made an article. Articles. Oops. There we go. Oh, okay, I'm doing it wrong. Anyway, there's a way you can add custom like you can format individual tags to have certain styles, which is kind of neat. But cool. I'm doing something wrong. I'd have to revisit it. But they've got a pretty good guide on how to do all of it. So
yeah,
it's worth playing around with because it just makes Roam like a way more pleasant
experience.
experience. Yeah,
makes sense. Okay, sweet. Awesome. Okay, I will check out your hotkeys. Just wanted to make sure there weren't any critical ones.
Okay, that was the issue. I had it in Clojure instead of CSS, but yeah, so now you've got custom styles for special tags that you use a lot, which is
that's actually really nice.
yeah.
Actually, along the lines of this, do you find yourself referencing any specific tags regularly?
Kind of, I mean, I'm mostly using tags based on like topics I'm interested in. So let's go back to my database. So, I mean, one that I use a ton is like my medley tags for organizing stuff to put into each medley. One that I've been using recently is anything related to the V2 of the course, right? Since this is like a pretty robust project page at this point. So I've got like all this stuff. I've got like meeting notes. And then, I'll use it whenever anything else happens. So like do my weekly plans, pulling this in. Like on August 5th, I had a call with Tiago about it. So like these are my notes from it. So all of this is like really useful. Because especially then I can like filter this by like, all right, my notes related to like Tiago and the course, right? So these are like our meeting notes. Then there's like topics that I use or that I reference a lot. So like I was doing a bunch of reading on sort of like the whole Uyghur genocide in China. So I was like tagging that.
You go down such specific
like
rabbit
random
holes.
rabbit holes. I know.
I was like, what is this?
Yeah. So I was just like, I started reading a bunch of this, and then I was tying it together, and this was like useful for organizing stuff in the medley, and then
Yeah, I feel like I
sort
should
of like
know
reading
this.
about.
Jeez.
What's that?
I feel like I should know this topic. Pretty intense.
I know. Yeah. It was just kind of, I don't know. I find all this stuff interesting. And where it gets more interesting too is when you like forget about a topic area for a little while and then come back to it.
Yeah.
So where it was like, I was tagging stuff with the China tag, and then there was like some of this older stuff that was like kind of interesting about like, okay, there's some like this section in energy and civilization related to like China's average like energy consumption per capita and how it's like one of the fastest growing in the world. Just like kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like, it's cool when you have a tag that you kind of forget about for a while and then come back to, which is why I sort of like err on the side of creating more of them than less. But I'm trying to think if there's specific ones I end up using a lot. I mean, we can look, although my graph overview is like a insane mess because there's so much in here. After a certain point, the graph overview basically just stops being useful.
Yeah, I was like, I imagine yours is nuts where, like, do you even use it regularly? Like, you just like, it's more visually just to see
I never look at it because it's just like, sort of like, what do you do with this?
Just click on the biggest circle and see what you like.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest circle is going to be the tags tag, most likely.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Or it's like, what is this one that I
I was
just
gonna say like medley or something maybe, but we may have broken it though.
Yeah, I think I broke it.
Added.
Okay, added. Yeah, 'cause that's what gets like tossed in. Tags. Top priorities. Yeah. Right. It's like a lot of the boring stuff shows up the highest here, right? Daily habits. So
yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know what to do with this. I mean, it gets more useful when you're in individual pages. And so I do like doing that. So maybe if I was in, like, if I were writing an article, for example, right, I might have this like life advice page open. And then let's say I'm like, I want to start pulling in ideas. So I like open this in the sidebar, and then maybe I want to like look at anything else related to happiness. Okay. So let's like look at all of these references. And now here's like every article that mentioned happiness. So like, maybe I could say like other pieces to reference, like climbing the wrong hill might be a good one. Right. Like this is where it starts to get a little more useful is, and I guess we're not even in the graph overview, but you can do the graph overview. Where did it go? Oh, here we go.
Oh, I didn't even know you could do that on a specific
page.
You
can do it on individual pages. But again, it's sort of like,
I guess it's just a visual representation of what you're currently seeing, but
yeah. So but it's like, I can't even read this anymore, right?
Okay.
You can scroll into it, but I don't use it very much. Like I personally almost never use the visual features of Roam. So like you can do diagrams and Kanban boards too. I almost never use them, but I know other people do use them more, like Shu Omi on in his YouTube videos. So if you're more of a visual person, it might be useful.
Cool. That is good to know. Awesome.
Finding all of this content that's not properly formatted. It's great.
Cool. I guess the next thing would be on note taking. So Yeah, I think the current flow is definitely a little bit is lengthy, and I think it's probably going to take a while until they have APIs into each one of these. Just want to double check. So right now, are you still following something similar where like
Yeah,
article, Instapaper, okay, and then you readwise into Evernote
that's
and then
the.
copy it.
But I have good news, which is that the Readwise Roam integration is. I mean, last I heard from them, it was supposed to launch like this week or next week.
Oh,
So
that would be a
yeah,
godsend.
I know, right? They figured out a way to kind of hack it into Roam without Roam having an API. So
Oh, wow.
um, I'm I don't think they've launched it yet. I think they're still ironing out the kinks, but I know they said it was going to be pretty soon here. So I'd say give it another week or two, and you're most likely going to be able to export straight to Roam.
Sweet. That is
Yeah.
awesome to hear. Um, cool. I guess in that case, so yeah, I think the only, well, I guess the other case study would have been like if we go through an example and then just do it, and I'll just show you kind of what I would do, and then
Yeah, yeah.
so maybe let's just do like a, okay, so
Let's do it.
obviously like first thing I would do is just Instapaper it. Let's bring it there. All right, so I won't be like super complex, but let's just say that, okay, every email is required to be CC'd. Why do they do it? It's very low friction. Allows me to dip in and out. Okay, whenever a new substantial feature is shipped, blah, blah. So like I'm personally interested in how, like I've heard a lot about Stripe's culture and they do some pretty
Mhm.
interesting slash potentially radical things. So I'm trying to compile an article of all these interesting things. Um, okay, so we address FUD. That's pretty cool. Let's see, group activities. An IRC bot announces lunch. That's pretty cool. Um,
Why do they use IRC instead of Slack?
I have no idea. Social list, no, I think that's fine. Okay, this is pretty cool. So every single engineer does support, even the
Yeah.
founders. That's pretty awesome. Um, hackathons, I mean, that's pretty standard. I don't know what capture the flag is. That is pretty interesting. I'll just put it down. I don't really know what that means. Um, Instead of meetings, we just do short chat conversations. I prefer asynchronous conversation. Um, oh, an IRC bot messaged me every 6 hours asking me to
Hmm.
optionally reply, and then it gives visibility. It's pretty cool. Okay, so this is probably a more technical team because, yeah, so once a week they read a technical paper. I like that idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
Um, whoa. Okay, so send in specifications. Oh, this is just their ideal laptop and stuff. That's actually pretty cool if they have the budget for this.
It's a good tell as to how much employees care about first class equipment. Huh. That's cool.
And then hiring well. There are no dedicated managers. That's fine.
Wait, how old is this article?
Yeah, this must be. I can't imagine he was employee 31.
Wait, but
This is
this is by Alex McCaw, isn't
2012.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was
Okay.
gonna say
So
he's not even at Stripe. When I read the beginning of it, he was like first few months of Stripe. I was like, wait, did Clearbit get acquired?
no, 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 no. This
Okay,
is
it's old. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
it's pretty old. The other one I was
All
gonna
right, so
do
I
was
wonder how
like,
much of this is still true.
um, do you ever copy from Twitter into Rome? Like, is there an
I
easy way to do that?
There's a couple ways to do it.
I could
One,
readwise.
yeah, you can use Readwise, right? So you can do Readwise save thread, and then
Yeah.
that whole thing will be saved to your. It's Readwise IO, I think.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
was
Readwise
that not?
IO save thread.
Oh,
and then that'll all be saved to your. Then you got to go to Evernote and do all that nonsense again for now.
Right. We don't have
That's
to do
usually
it
what
now,
I'll
but
do. The other thing that I'll do is I'll just like save a link to the tweet and add some tags to it, especially if it's just like something interesting I want to include in the medley or something related to a few other ideas.
got it.
So like I'll just
Okay.
copy the link over. And the one thing I don't like is that Roam does the auto Twitter embeds, which is like
Right.
they're kind of ugly and big, and there's like no way to turn it off, which is crazy to me. It's like I don't want this huge embed taking up so much vertical real estate. But so I'll usually just like add a hyperlink and do that because like yeah, if you just paste in this link, it's going to be.
So okay, so maybe we won't do we won't do the Twitter one, but let's just keep it simple for now. So typically you might do, I don't even know if you would do a Z meta for an article. Get rid of this. Or sorry, not
no,
a Z meta.
I would definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I would do all the metadata for the article, right?
So like Alex McCaw.
But why are you putting this in? Isn't the Stripe Culture page where you're saving all of your resources for reading about Stripe Culture?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess, what's the best way to organize? So I have a bunch of links, and I'm just trying to pull in interesting pieces. I may not even need this.
Unless what I would do is I would create a separate page for the McCaw article and put all of these highlights on that page.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah, and then paste in all the highlights you got from Readwise.
So
yeah, and I personally would not nest it under notes like that, but it doesn't make a big difference.
Oh, interesting. So
I have done that. Yeah, I like just keeping it on the top level. I think it's visually easier.
Yeah, because
you can do that if you're doing like a strict smart notes methodology, but I personally, I think this looks better.
Okay.
And it doesn't need to be nested under an attribute or anything. But yeah, so then what I would do is, one, I would tag it as Stripe Culture because it's going to be related to that, right?
Do you tag it with, like instead of tagging it, would you just straight up do the link instead?
It doesn't make a big difference, right? I would probably do the tag link.
Because otherwise you'd have to do a single word for the tag.
No, you don't do a single word. You can do multi-word.
You can do this now?
No, what you have to do is type hash and then the double brackets. Like, see how it auto-filled the double brackets?
Like
yeah, exactly. You do it like that.
And it'll just.
And then it's a tag the same as the single word ones. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That is.
Yeah, it's not super clear. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I would do that, and then any other tags, right? Like management, company culture, whatever other stuff you might think could be related to, and then I do the bolding and highlighting for any
all of them, yeah,
PKM stuff, and then I would go back to the Stripe Culture page.
By the way, do you still have to? Is it still? It's like you have to do highlight first, right? You can't do the other
you have to do highlight first.
Cool. So and then you would go back to this. Get rid of all this.
Delete all that. And then I would figure out how you want to organize this page to pull it in. So maybe you create a top level bullet that says like feedback from Stripe employees.
I thought it was, why am I not? Oh, because I can't.
What are you trying to do?
Sorry, I thought that was the page that I was trying to create for some reason. I was like, wait, why is it not opening? It's this one. Okay, so so you were saying like it might be like notes or something again. And then these are all the individual
notes. Like I would just start organizing it based on like the headings that are going to make it easier to go through everything later. So I might make one that says like employee feedback or notes from employees or anything like that, and then put the McCaw piece right under that. Mm-hmm. And then what I would do is I'd open it in the sidebar, and then just start alt dragging over any pieces that feel relevant.
Got it. Okay. And then you just go through one by one.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay. That is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is pretty basic, but
no, this is good.
I don't really, because I think from what I remember, you will outline here, but you will actually still draft in Google Docs. Like the full article?
It goes back and forth. I'll try to get it as far as I can in Rome so that I can preserve all the interlinks. But then I find that like creativity wise, there's a benefit to changing the context. So like once I feel like I've written as much in Rome as I can productively do, then I'll go over into Google Docs.
Hmm.
But I do kind of as much as possible there. But I find that it just like, I don't know, like shakes up my brain a little bit to change context from Rome to GDocs.
Yeah.
So that's pretty helpful. But for like medleys and stuff, I write 100% of it in Rome. I don't use Google Docs at all.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So awesome. And then I guess the last thing, or yeah, I guess normally we would probably go through the exercise of actually like creating new pages and dragging them in. But for the purpose of that, we kind of did that.
Yeah, we pretty much just did it.
Querying. Do you use querying quite a bit?
Yeah, I love querying.
Okay.
I'll show you. And yeah, like querying is super powerful, and I feel like is when Rome starts to get like really interesting. Or you know what, we can actually just go do this on the homepage. Oops. There we go. All right, so I mean, first off, you can see this is actually a giant query for top priorities. So there's a lot going on here, which is query everything that is a to-do and a top priority that is not a query or part of my daily note template, and only show stuff with dates between today and last week.
God, that's a lot instead of just keeping a to-do list, Nat.
Yeah, right. I mean, it is effectively a to-do list, but it lets me create tasks anywhere in the database and then have them automatically show up here. And then this one is the same idea, except it's to-dos that are not top priority, right?
Right.
Between today and last month. And so that surfaces any outstanding to-dos that like I haven't done, but that aren't top priorities. So those are two like fairly robust ones. But if we were just going to do like some simpler stuff.
By the way, for top priorities and tasks, is there a template where every single day that'll bring back over to the next daily note or to today's daily note, or do you just copy it?
Yeah. No, so I've got a text expander for this.
Oh, I see.
So if I go to tomorrow and I do my daily dashboard command, it just fills all of that in.
Oh, got it. Oh, wow, that's pretty nice.
Super nice, yeah. So then I don't have to like have a separate, place to go to for my to-do list management. It's just like pulling in this stuff. And then what I'll do is I'll have like my weekly plan. And that's got like some of the main stuff that I need to track in here. And then just like when I add top priorities there, it just automatically pulls them in for me.
Got it.
So yeah, it just makes it a lot easier. But let's go back to.
You still working with KE these days?
We did like a really deep Notion thing, which we've been incorporating at Growth Machine. It's been super helpful for like improving all of the Growth Machine process management stuff, like crazy valuable.
Nice.
It just like significantly leveled the power using Notion. And I think that for an organization, Notion, bless you.
Bless you.
I think that for for an organization, Notion is like so much better for process and SOP management.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of like a different, more solo, I think, beast.
Totally.
But yeah, so queries are super fun. I mean, you've got like the and, or, not, and between functions. So we can do like books, anything related to books and happiness, kind of like see what pops up here, right? So I find this really useful. Yeah, right. I find this really useful when I need to like start sorting through stuff that I have a lot of information on, right? Like one good example would be one article that I'm working on is like advice, ambitious young person. Sort of like my Ryan Holiday had an old article that was really good, kind of on this topic. And there's like some stuff that I feel like it'd be interesting to talk about in it. But within this article, I might do some queries. So I could say like query and like articles, life advice, and kind of see what pops up here.
Mhm.
Right. So, okay, these are like some interesting ideas that I could, or these are some interesting articles that might have stuff I could pull out, or like articles related to college, right? Pull all of that. It might just be, it's like a quick way to start pulling out things that I want to reference, which again, I just find really useful, right? So like I might, hop into this query, right? And like pull out a couple of these and then actually just go back up here and kind of like hide this query. And now I've got these in my sidebar, but then I can scroll through here and say like, all right, what of this might I want to pull over?
So
it's like a really,
this query is like, you could do this in the sidebar where you search books and then you filter by happiness, but this is just the faster way. Got it. Okay.
This is a much faster way.
Yeah.
And the other benefit too is like, if we need to get more complex with it, what would be a good example? So I could do like query and articles, college, not, I don't know, happiness or something, right? If I already went through that tag, right? And now we're like filtering out a few of them.
Right.
Or maybe I want like books. You do the same thing with books. Like I'm trying to think of other good examples of things I would filter out here, but like, or maybe if I'm doing articles, finance, not like
loans,
budgeting.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's like
all
not
of
showing
them.
up. Yeah. All of them. Oh, this is weird. Why isn't this working?
You have articles that are finance? Do you have that many finance articles?
I have quite a few. Yeah. There we go. Huh, I wonder why the not wasn't working. See, this is like sometimes stuff gets buggy. Huh.
Is it syntax related or is it?
I think my syntax is fine.
Let's see. Yeah, that's weird because none of these are budgeting. So all of them should be showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's saying, so it's article in finance.
Oh, I think I know why.
Oh.
Yeah, syntax is wrong.
Okay.
you have to nest it. Yeah, so this is a weird thing with the query syntax is you have to nest the nots and the ors and the ands, but not the betweens. So like
this is gonna take some muscle memory.
yeah, it just takes some getting used to. And I've got a decent page on this as well in the tutorial, graph where it's like all of the query syntax written out. Which can be helpful because it does take, it's like I forget sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
Secret and advanced features, I think. Yeah, queries.
And you basically built out the tutorial onboarding.
Yeah, well, they they didn't really have good onboarding stuff, so I went ahead and wrote it out for them. But yeah, so here you can see like a lot of examples for like how they work and all the modifiers you can use and all of that. So this might be helpful for figuring out how to get more out of them.
Wow. I'm more impressed with the level of effort and time you put in here to build up their FAQ.
Trying to, and I was like doing all this before they started charging it anything. So I was just like, man, I want these guys to start making money.
Yeah.
Like, I want this.
Awesome.
I want this tool to keep getting worked on. Love it.
Cool.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
is that helpful?
Yeah, this is super helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is just to like get notes into it so that there's actually enough content to work with. And so, what is it? Productivity with purpose.
That's a good way of putting it.
So
I've actually, that was one thing I learned sort of like from the first version of the course. The second one was like the first one was so abstract, where it
Yeah.
was just like, oh, here's like how you would do stuff. It's like with the new version, we like start with the core function stuff again, but then it's like actually building out the database,
Hmm.
like organizing it. So like for the self-directed, it'll be, telling people to like, hey, go pick something and start adding info. But for the live one, I'll be like having everyone choose a topic they want to like learn more about and like write an article about or something. And then we'll all kind of like start building out our database together. And so that's where you'll have more incentive to like actually learn how to bring in your article notes, how to tie everything together, how to like organize it with good tagging and queries and like
Hmm.
navigating your info and like project management and task management than actual like writing. So it's going to be way more like focused on getting the goal outcomes just
Yeah.
by like learning how to use the tool versus I think V1 was very like just how to use the tool because it was super confusing and opaque. And now I
Yeah.
think there's like plenty of resources on how to use it. And I still go over that, but then I go much more into like, all right, how do we make this useful now?
Yeah.
So I'll be really
It,
curious to see how people like
hmm.
that.
Is this going to be very like a rite of passage building a second brain style where it's like Zoom calls regularly and
Uh,
like,
did I tell you this? It's going to be kind of part of Second Brain.
so I know it was, oh, I didn't realize, well, I thought it was just going to be like
Well,
on the website, but I didn't realize you're going to
yeah,
follow the
yeah.
same structure.
Not the exact same structure, but it's going to be closely mirroring it. So basically, like it's going to launch on its own and be its own standalone thing, but it's launching the same day as building a second brain. And people who are taking building a second brain can like upgrade to include the Rome course as well to
Wow.
get the Rome course for like half off. And so
Nice.
so if they want to do building a second brain in Rome, they'll be able to do building a second brain, and then the Rome course is going to lag it by like a week. So they'll
Mm,
take the building a second brain classes, and then the Rome course will talk a lot about incorporating those lessons into Rome.
got it.
So it's going to be like really nicely intertwined. So similar ideas and structure to both building a second brain and rite of passage, but a little bit like lighter
Yeah.
since it's going to be like it's going to be a less expensive, less intense course than either of them, and more is like I want it to be like the extracurricular that people take for either of those courses.
Right. Interesting. That means that Tiago's, I wonder how much emphasis he's going to put on Rome in his building a second brain course.
I don't think he really is. I think that he's just going to leave the Rome stuff to me, as far as I know.
Got
Just
it.
like if people want to do building a second brain in Rome, this is going to be the best way to do it.
Yeah, they can always port over Evernote anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
exactly. So I'm pretty
Awesome.
excited. I think it's going
Yeah.
to be cool.
That's going to be great for you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've got a lot of stuff to do before then.
Yeah. Well,
Cool, dude.
yeah. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Glad I could help, and good luck with all the GC stuff. I know what an adventure that is.
Dude,
It
it's
was funny when you
so.
texted me. You're like, "I'm sure you know from the cafe." I was like, "Oh man, yep."
Yours sounds a lot more intense. Mine's just a simple kitchen island remodel. So,
Dude, anything we're dealing with GCs. Yeah, the whole like, nah, we're just done for today. It's like, dude, it's
yeah.
1 p.m. You have like
Yeah.
4 more hours. You could be. Dude, it was like there's just all these little things, and I have to remember that it's like we have brains that like operate a certain way, especially from like doing like business stuff
Yeah.
that a lot of people just don't have. And so
Yeah.
little thing like process improvement type stuff. It's like the guys who were building our deck and our fence, they went to Home Depot every morning to buy supplies. Like
Versus
they went
batching.
every single morning instead of batching, and then like 3 or 4 days they got there and Home Depot was like out of wood, and so then they're like, all
Oh
right, well, we
my
can't work for the
God.
next 3 days, so we'll like be
Jesus.
back, and then like and it's happened multiple times. I was like, guys, why don't you just like buy all the wood up front? It's like, I'll give you the money, like you don't have to worry about cash flow, like we're happy to prepay for this.
Yeah. That's hilarious. But yeah, it's a good reminder. The rest of the world just doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Well,
things that are intuitive are not always intuitive to everyone else.
yeah. Cool.
Well,
Everything
dude,
else is good? Yeah.
everything else is good, man.
Yeah.
Just trying to squeeze this in nights and weekends while doing growth machine stuff.
Yeah. It's
Growth machine's been like crazy, so
I
it's
imagine,
been
dude.
good.
It's been pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you doing like a? I'm guessing your other thing is like a Nat brain within Rome that you're gonna sell.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty intuitive once I saw the name of it. I was like, it's a secret project, but I think I know what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I can figure out what that is. Yeah, because like I saw my book notes in Evernote, but it's like a really clunky setup with like Gumroad, and the file doesn't work like 5% of the time, and then I get like annoyed emails, and I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just like Evernote's kind of shitty for what I'm trying to do. So yeah, I'm going to set up all of the book notes and all of the article notes and every medley in a public or in a semi-public Roam database that will be kind of like the membership side of my website. And so for like that, for like a small monthly subscription, people will get like an annotated version of the medley, pulling in notes from like everything else on those topics I've read. So it's like what I was showing you with like some of the China notes and like the cynicism and like Uyghurs and all of that. It's like, it would be integrating more of that info into each medley and making it like discoverable for people who are on the email list.
Interesting.
So,
wow.
Plus making all the book notes available. So there's like 250 book notes plus all the articles plus the medleys. It's like, I think it'll be a pretty neat like info product. I'm kind of excited to try out. So
basically your second brain, but that people
exactly. Selling access to second brain. Because like
interesting.
The only thing I'm unsure about is like the Evernote book notes actually sell a lot. They do really well. And so I'll be curious to see if it's like an increase or a decrease in revenue when I make the switch.
I feel like I don't know how you feel about this, but I still feel like Roam is reserved for like the top 0.1% of people who can actually figure it out. So
yeah,
Evernote's way more approachable for like the mainstream.
Much more approachable. Yeah.
Well, leave both up and see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, I could just leave both open and like just put the Roam version in the medley as like an upsell in there and leave the Evernote file on the site as its own page for people. Cause like a number of people buy it just discovering my notes through Google. So I think it'd be a harder sell to get them to like subscribe to a Roam database. Yeah. So we'll see. Gotta play with it, see what happens.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool, dude.
All right. Take care, man. Thanks so much again.
Yeah, you too.
I will send you a recording right after this.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
See ya.